How would you react if you found out that the person you are dating is keeping you a big secret? Not an easy question. Trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship, and let's be honest. Who isn't looking to find their true love? Social media has made relationships much more difficult. Various stimuli surround us, and it seems that there are endless opportunities to find meaningful relationships. While dating apps like Tinder and OkCupid have made it easy for everyday gamers to find a fling, the sad truth is that a real, meaningful relationship isn't easy to find. Would you consider starting a relationship based on lies? Filters are everywhere. People use them daily to polish their photos. With add-ons and filters like the ones you can find in Snapchat, Instagram, and Facetune, it becomes much more difficult to determine who is the person standing in front of us. We invite you to discover another type of filter. This filter had been used by a certain girl to hide the truth from her relatives and basically everyone. This story is about accepting yourself and embracing the real you. Are you challenged to step into your own skin and think about how you would react in the same situation? It is always difficult to be seen as different by the world. Because of our very human nature, people are drawn to finding communities, friends, companions and partners that provide us with a sense of similarity and a sense of belonging. It seems that even in today's ever-changing and increasingly fluid society, some degree of conformity is required to fit into what the world deems acceptable. This is the touching story of how one woman was able to walk the long road to self-compassion and understanding, ultimately discovering that being different is not a weakness, it is a superpower. Mariah Perkins was 11 years old when she noticed a small white spot on the back of one of her hands. The African-American teenager was confused and quickly showed her mother the small piece of discoloration. Without much thought or concern, Mariah's mother told her that there was nothing to worry about and that she was sure the problem would resolve itself. Unfortunately, a few months later, the problem had become much more difficult to ignore. Within months, the pigmentation had started to spread to other areas of her body. It was like a very small spot on my hand, and it gradually spread to spots on my nose and eyes, and that's where I started to notice, Mariah said in an interview. Although the teenager experienced no pain or discomfort with the apparent condition of the skin, she and her mother became increasingly concerned once the spots began to cover her face. Mariah and her mother quickly sought professional help regarding the spread of pigmentation. When it appeared on my face, my mom took me straight to the doctor, recalls Mariah, now 22. Her local doctor could not give the mother and daughter an exact diagnosis. Despite the comfort of the doctor, Mariah's mother felt compelled to seek a more concrete second opinion. He didn't seem too worried, but Mom urged me to see a dermatologist, Mariah continued. As Mariah and her mother began to research an appropriate diagnosis and treatment plan, the pigmentation began to spread more quickly to the little girl's face. It wasn't until later that Mariah knew her life and her appearance would be forever changed. It took up about 90% of my face, Mariah said. The teenager saw several doctors who each referred her to another. She saw 4 dermatologists before the diagnosis of vitiligo was finally confirmed. Mariah now knew that the disease was irreversible. That was when I was told I had vitiligo, a condition that causes my skin to lose pigmentation. To begin with, I was just relieved to have a diagnosis, but no longer. I discovered, the more I started to worry, recalls Mariah. Although vitiligo affects around 50 million people worldwide, doctors and specialists still don't know exactly what causes the disease to begin with. Vitiligo is considered an autoimmune disease where the body unknowingly begins to attack its own melanin cells. Melanin is the pigment that gives the skin its color and is commonly thought to be triggered by stress. I was already unsure of my appearance, and vitiligo at the time made me feel even worse, said Mariah. Emotionally, it was difficult. At first I was in denial and didn't think too much about it, she says, but when my teenage years hit, I just wanted to fit in, so it was hard to be different from others. I never felt pretty or cute, she continued. The white patches on Mariah's face began to grow larger, eventually coalescing into large areas of pale skin. At such a young age, Mariah felt more and more desperate to hide her condition and be more like her peers. In order to hide the pale spots on her face, Mariah turned to makeup. I didn't want to be known as the girl with the skin condition, she explained. Every morning before school, she would spend 45 minutes applying a heavy foundation to her face. Most people didn't know I had a skin condition on my face, they just thought I was wearing makeup, Mariah said. Over time, Mariah's concealer and makeup routine became obsessive. I spent about 45 minutes applying my makeup, making sure every part of my face was covered and trying to make it look as natural as possible, says Mariah. I got to the stage where I wouldn't let anyone see me without makeup except my immediate family. If I was spending a sleepover at a friend's house, I would sleep with my makeup on and wake up early before anyone does for a touch-up. Beyond the emotional and mental toll, Mariah's obsessive daily makeup routine was also increasingly becoming a financial burden on her and her mother. I was finishing the setting powder in 2 weeks, so I was buying $25-30 of setting powder every 2 weeks, and I was buying foundations every month, so I was spending hundreds of dollars on makeup. By wearing so much makeup, the time was long and expensive, she said. As he grew up, his condition and makeup regimen began to prevent him from experiencing the full joys of youth in different ways. I've always felt very aware of my condition with boys, and that held me back when I was younger, Mariah says now. I couldn't kiss people, no one could touch my face. I was always so afraid of messing up my makeup and constantly looking at myself in the mirror. Mariah was getting more and more depressed from year to year. Mariah embarked on her studies, being a studious student. She eventually got a place at a local university to study sociology and criminal justice. Her family feared that academia would be too much for Mariah in her fragile state to deal with, but in the end, going to college was the best thing for her. Soon, Mariah began to make a gradual transition. I thought it would be scary, but it was easier than being in high school, says Mariah. I made a lot of friends, and they all told me I didn't need to wear makeup at all. In college, people seem more tolerant and positive. I started to wear less and less makeup, it became more and more my choice, and that's where the accountability came for me, she said. Mariah had become honest, and before long she was living a life completely free of all makeup. After posting a few photos of her unmasked face on social media, Mariah was further encouraged to fully accept herself and embrace her appearance. The feedback from her followers was overwhelmingly positive. Many people applauded her for coming to a place of empowerment and self-love. People started to see me on social media, and it made the transition easier, she says. Today, Mariah proudly declares, I no longer wear makeup to cover my condition. The young woman is now fully assumed with the rest of the world. She has become an ambassador for others suffering from the same disease, as well as for so many young women who face their own battles with insecurity and low self-esteem. Mariah now loves her unique skin, but hasn't let her define who she is and what she can accomplish. Mariah now has an impressive social network of thousands of people who have been inspired by her courageous journey to self-acceptance. She has 35,000 Instagram subscribers with whom she shares content on a daily basis. She playfully uses hashtags, including PandaBear and VitiligoQueen. The majority of her shared images showcase the unique pigmentation patterns of her skin in all their unusual splendor. She has also encouraged so many others with the condition to come forward and accept their authentic self. While there are now laser treatments that will help reduce the appearance of her pigmentation, Mariah says she wouldn't change her appearance. I thought I had to go through this for a reason, so I could help others get through it and make it easier, she explained. I certainly wouldn't have changed it because I wouldn't have been the person I am today without it. In early 2020, Mariah shared a series of images capturing her transition from childhood to today, coupled with an emotional caption. She wrote, "This new year and new decade is the start of a new chapter in my life. I haven't undergone a transformation in the last 10 years, but 1. Get lost and hide behind makeup because that I was afraid and ashamed to be judged by my appearance," the message continued, and 2. Growing up to love me without excuse inside and out, accept my skin and accept my beauty and uniqueness. I love the woman I am about. Become and I love my vitiligo. Dee made no mistakes in making me the way I am, and I am grateful every day for the person life has made of me. These years have not been easy, and sometimes I still struggle, but I'm on the right track and can't wait to see what lies ahead in the next decade. Mariah then thanked her followers and close family for their support, as well as the brands that allowed her to share her unique story. Mariah has also already mentioned another influence that drastically changed the way she views her condition and her appearance. Winnie Harlow, who also has extensive vitiligo, is now an international supermodel who continues to work with some of the world's most luxurious high-end fashion brands. There is no doubt that she is absolutely amazing. Winnie Harlow was diagnosed with vitiligo in her early childhood. The model and the ambassador shared that she suffered severe bullying in her youth and was reportedly labeled cow, zebra and all kinds of other derogatory slurs over her unique appearance. She has been forced to change schools on numerous occasions to escape daily verbal harassment and seek more welcoming social spaces. The torment led her to even consider committing suicide in her early teens. Winnie's life was changed forever when she was discovered by American Next Top Model host Tyra Banks on Instagram. Harlow was a finalist for the show's 2014 season, and, despite his elimination, the show helped open the door to the international fashion industry. She has since become a pioneering supernova, hitting the catwalks and participating in campaigns for some of the world's most sought-after fashion brands. She recently collaborated with Kim Kardashian on an inclusive line of beauty products. Like Mariah, Winnie has come to terms with her condition, but she continually refuses to identify with being a victim of vitiligo. Harlow shared his long-standing frustration in a recent interview. "I'm not my skin, people do such a thing with her, or it's like, oh my god, she's the mouthpiece. No, I'm not a spokesperson. I happen to have vitiligo and I'm proud of it. I love talking about it. But that's not the only thing about me." Winnie's modeling career has been marked by a series of accomplishments that have deconstructed the taboo around what it means to live with vitiligo. Harlow was the first of its kind to take part in the iconic Victoria's Secret fashion show. She also recently appeared on the cover of Vogue magazine. But Winnie believes that each of his accomplishments is not only eye-opening for people with the skin disease, but for every child who has always felt different from the norm. Responding to her reporting on the Victoria's Secret show, Winnie said, "It's a door for everyone. We're all the same, because we're all different. People always ask me what you'd like to say to little girls. With vitiligo it's bigger than that. It's those little girls with vitiligo. It's this little girl who didn't like her hair. It's this little girl who had freckles. This little boy got teased because his lips were too big." People like Winnie and Mariah have a very special message for the world. It's not fair to be different. It is absolutely wonderful. We totally agree. In a world full of publicity and body shame, we think it would be great for big brands to take a much more positive approach to beauty, and we hope to see the faces of advertising brands Winnie Harlow or Mariah, such as Toyota, Chrysler, Mercedes or any other big advertiser with the usual models.